another opportunity to tell a different kind of story, which obviously they did with the second Black Panther.
Who was Don Cheadle in the Avengers movie? Replaced Lawrence?
The guy from Empire.
Terrence.
Yeah.
Crawford.
Terrence Long was an outfielder.
Terrence Howard. Yeah, he replaced him because Terrence Howard was like, I deserve the same amount of money as Robert Downey Jr. And they were like,
tough.
We're just going to replace you.
Terrence guy.
That's a tough take.
Crazy person.
He does have some wild opinions.
Person.
Yeah, very. He has a whole prediction on like how the world really came to be and everything. It's pretty wild. You should go watch it. It's like a 15-minute speech that he gives.
Okay.
And then he was on Rogan and had some very wild thoughts.
That I believe.
Which is
he needs to go to the funny farm.
That's not a space where lots of wild thoughts get thrown around either. Rogan's got a lot of things that are really clear cut and understanded.
People got mad at his stand-up on Netflix.
See, and I'm with you, Kevin, on the music side of things. I think that it's a lot easier to maneuver, especially if you already have this platform. Like, going back to the Linkin Park thing, they're not going to have any trouble selling tickets because of who they are. It doesn't matter who's going to be singing for them.
As long as they don't say we're trotting out our brand new album, then people be like, come on.
But if the Foo Fighters, like if they replace Dave Grohl, like they replaced their drummer, they got a different drummer, but if they replace Dave Grohl, that would be different. That would be very different.
Would it?
Yes. He wrote it. He did all the songs.
No, I believe he did all the songs because they all sound the same.
Everything
I
is
believe
him.
that.
You say that. You never listen to a Foo Fighters
What
song.
made them take?
I heard the one.
Did they? Serious question. Did they take the D off of their name to be like, oh, we're the Food Fighters? They're like, it just sounds better.
I have no idea the answer. Corey, you like the Foo Fighters?
Because they're like food fight. Nobody said Foo Fight. So I'm just assuming I'm being serious here. They had to just decide, like, hey, we're coming up with a new band name. Our lead singer killed himself, we think. And so, what's his name? What's the guy's name from Nirvana?
No.
Kurt Cobain.
So Dave Grohl was very interested in UFOs. And the term Foo Fighter was first used by the U.S. Air Force during World War II to describe the strange phenomena in the sky, such as UFOs.
I just figured they wanted to be cool, and they're just like food fighters. Like that sounds, let's just take the D off, and then it'll be cool.
Huh?
That missing D.
Yep.
Yeah, always seems to be the missing piece in many equations. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, he did something really cool to start off the week for a couple of his athletes on the Colorado football team. I think that, all the stories that involve him that are usually bad headlines are kind of fun to talk about. Everybody does, because he's always got something going on.
Sure.
But this is something that will probably slide under the radar that was really, really cool. The world of NIL has changed everything in college football. And of all people, Coach Prime can have some pull when it comes to getting people to sponsor and invest in his team. So what he did was he brought in his team after practice for their team meeting, and he was talking about leadership, and he asked if there's any fathers on his team or expecting fathers. And he had them all come up to the front of the auditorium. And he said, look, you guys know that if I were to hire a coach, they got to be a good dad, because I can't expect them to take care of you guys if they can't take care of their own. So I want you to take care of your own. So he got an NIL deal with Boulder-based Elevations Credits Union. And this bank opened up savings accounts for every father on the team for their child.
Nice.
And they put an entry level deposit of $2,121, 2121.
Whoa.
And it's got a 4% interest rate, so it's going to start compounding for these kids to start a college fund for them. So
smart.
I thought that was an awesome move because, one, it gets another sponsor, another NIL deal to help start funding for, the Colorado football team, but it does a really cool thing for a select few group of people on his team that he doesn't want them to feel like they're not noticed and doesn't want them to be kind of alienated from the rest of the team because they have father duties. He says, look, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to help make sure that you take care of your own as well. I thought that was really, really cool.
That is pretty cool, man.
And I hope more coaches follow suit with that, because that's something so easy. Your program benefits from it, but you gain the trust of your guys by saying, look, coach might not even have met my son or my daughter yet, and he cares about them, and he's giving them money. That's really cool to see. What else is really cool to see, guys? high school football is coming back.
Yes.
For most people starting this week. And if you have not found a pet cat that you're following to see if they're going to do anything, get any high recruitment this season, I have a name for you to watch, and it is not in the state of Texas. He's in Pennsylvania. His name is Ismail Ayala. Why do I bring up this young man and his name? He is 5'7", 315 pounds.
Never going to make it.
Oh, my goodness.
Plays defensive line, as you could imagine. And crazy enough, he is really nimble and really quick for his build.
Yes.
If you go and watch, he has his huddle highlights up on his Twitter page, I believe. I saw him last night, and now I'm seeing articles about him being published. He is just an anomaly. He's literally my height, to put it in perspective. He is my height plus another, 160 pounds?
Yeah.
That is insane to try to fathom.
He's more than two of you.
And he benches 375.
Yeah.
This is who Bryce Young needs to block for him. It's one less guy that he has to try to see over.
Mike is building the shortest offensive line, but
Yeah.
they're tree stumps, They just don't move. They're fire hydrants, if you will.
He can squat 525 pounds.
That is tough right there. I saw he had a couple sacks and some tackles in a recent game too.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good. Like in all honesty, looking at his huddle highlights last night, he's actually got a motor on him, and he's pretty fun to watch. So
I like that.
I'm gonna keep an eye on this kid out of Reading, Pennsylvania, and maybe that'll be my weekly update to see if he had any big games or not.
I've been to Reading.
Aunt Viv, by the way, was the most shocking one for me.
Was that just the last season, or was like the last two seasons?
Yeah,
I
it was
remember
late,
that.
But it was just a complete shocker. You're like, hold on, what happened here?
See, but at least in that and Roseanne, it was over like contract disputes,
Yes.
as opposed to, you mentioned Chadwick Boseman or Freddie
Somebody
Mercury. You're like, well, I don't really have an option on that.
Sure, and I think it's totally subjective, but at least in the acting world, like you said, Kevin, just find a new story to write. Take it a different direction and make it something unpredictable, just like Black Panther did and Marvel. I appreciate that work, and I appreciate the time. That's AM on the FM.
For the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, it's time for Gridiron Gravy. How many viable options are there for the number one pick in your fantasy draft? Is it just one? And does that person make you nervous? We'll do it next right here on The Fan.
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No,
Nutmeg Maidens?
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
This is Texas. This is Classic Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Based on new Chevy registrations 2023.
Trying to do something here with Christian McCaffrey. Got a bruising block from Brandon Ayuk. Got another from Ray McLeod. Turned it into a touchdown. It's a 65-yard lightning strike from McCaffrey.
KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Right now, it's time to go around the entire NFL and dip into some gridiron gravy.
Here we go.
Gridiron Gravy, hold on. Gridiron Gravy brought to you by Rhino Shield. Why paint your house when you can shield your home? Visit rhinoshieldtx.com.
Don't paint your house.
Shield your home.
Shield it.
Rhino Shield.
Rhino.
Were you going to ask a question about Dak?
Did he do Here You Go in training camp?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he did.
All right.
And actually, all 3 quarterbacks did it. Even
Yes.
Cooper Rush and Trey Lance.
He didn't
Which
trademark
did feel a little weird to me, but yeah.
But it's, I mean, I guess that
I get it. Yeah.
it's just kind of keeping, everybody on the same clock or whatever. But yeah, all the quarterbacks were doing it.
All right, so this question is, I guess, maybe going to have more answers than I thought. I played the cut of Christian McCaffrey, or I guess Alec did, because I thought that would be the answer. But my question, Corey, I'm going to go to you.
Okay.
How many viable options do you think there are for number one pick in a fantasy draft? Because from the 817, I had the first pick in my league. The only correct pick was CeeDee Lamb. From the 972, it's got to be used on CeeDee Lamb now that he's signed. I would have guessed he was second or third, maybe?
Yeah, I would have drafted him high whether he was signed or not. Like
Okay,
that,
yeah.
He's one of the best receivers out there. So running back production is very hard to find. It feels like you can find receivers everywhere, and a new receiver will pop up all the time. But having one of the top 3 running backs, it falls off after that. So the top 3 running backs this year: McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, and then Breece Hall. Breece Hall, still kind of a question mark on him because he had a fantastic season after a big-time injury. McCaffrey has had lots of injuries.
Yes.
But if you're in a PPR league, a lot of people, and that's points per reception, a lot of people are saying, well, I'm going to find a guy like a Bijan, like a McCaffrey, that not only gets goal line opportunities, but also gets reception yards, and you get points per reception. So if he catches 4 passes, that's 4 points in addition to however many yards he got. And if it's a touchdown, that's big-time numbers there too. So you're always going there first, it feels like, if that's available, if there's one of those big lead dogs there. And this year, I feel like you had 2 to 3. But Justin Jefferson kind of eked into it last year because people were like, it's consistent numbers, and he's the best wide receiver.
Does the McCarthy injury drop him off?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He dropped in a lot of drafts this year because of that. But he makes guys look good. He definitely is one of those guys. But Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, their production, the points that they produce week in, week out, or the ability to go for almost 50 points, that's something where you're like, oh, well, I mean, why pass up on that? But I wouldn't draft him one, again, because it's tough to get that kind of production. When you're going to have, the deeper you get into the wide receiver group, you're still pretty good there. But man, a lot of people are lacking on finding running backs because, as we've seen happen, a lot of people don't give the running back the same opportunities they used to.
By the way, if you're interested, our YouTube stream is back up and going. If you want to jump on and listen at the same time, that would actually be amazing.
I dare you to jump on the YouTube or the Twitch and listen right now. I dare you to listen to both of them.
Born Upon a Burrito on YouTube. Thanks. I missed you guys too yesterday.
That's nice.
See, I shout out that tube.
I like the names that we get to see in the Twitch.
Don't
and
worry,
the
Twitch.
YouTube.
I'll go to Twitch for you.
All right, let's go to Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, the New Heights podcast. We'd heard this kind of rumored for a while. The Kelce brothers have just signed for a little bit more than $100 million over the span of 3 years to distribute their New Heights podcast via Amazon's Wondery. Now, that includes exclusive rights to monetize, distribute the audio, video, everything like that. And I know it is a super popular podcast, so I'm not surprised they got paid whatsoever. My question for y'all was going to be, is there any part of a Taylor Swift tax built in
What?
terms of like, hey, we're projecting that Travis and Taylor are going to stay together. Maybe we'll progress it even further, and that's going to make our investment worthwhile. Whereas if they broke up like right now, would it have a diminished value? Not no value. It'd still have a huge value. But would it be diminished from what they just got?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because Jason Kelsey's proven to be a character
First,
on
they're
his own.
super entertaining.
And then Travis still playing in the league on on the Super Bowl stage consistently. He'll be in the playoffs. So I still think that's going to be there. I don't think there's a Taylor tax for it. But dude, I mean, if he makes the announcement, where would that announcement be?
Dude, if it happened on the podcast,
or on her show or on the podcast.
if it happened on the podcast, I legitimately think that could break the internet. I know people say that all the time. I think that could make
we're
it just
getting
go,
married, or she's pregnant, or we're getting married and she's pregnant. Whatever the thing is, whatever the announcement would be that would be the first. There would be so many Swifties all over it.
Amazon gave him this money?
Yes.
How does Amazon make more money than $33 million a year on this podcast? That's what I'm confused with. You make that much money on advertising on a podcast?
It's a good question.
That doesn't seem right to me.
That's a good, like Corey said, that is a good question. I also wonder if they kind of view it as a kind of a loss leader to get people in the door for like other things. Just like with the Black Friday game, they're like, hey, I hope people watch it, but what I really hope you do is also come and buy all of the things. So I wonder if this is just another step further into that world for them. I'm not sure, though.
I wonder how many times companies invest in a product that they know is great, but they know that they're paying it way too much and are going to lose money on it.
Yeah. I'm interested if it's part of your strategy, because I do know in the retail community that was always called the loss leader, is the thing to get the person in the door. You know you're going to lose money on it, but hopefully they go grab all this other stuff.
If you're watching that podcast and then you're advertising products from Amazon.com
Yes.
and shows on Amazon Prime and all that stuff, if you're advertising those things, then it might be worth it too.
Okay, yeah.
For that, because your reach is a massive amount of people, especially if it's the Swifties. If they're tuning into it.
Yeah.
And that's got to be an interesting thing too. Whoever, I don't know if it was Kelsey or like a business manager that they have for the podcast that went to Amazon and was like, look at these freaking numbers.
Sure.
Like, these are insane what we're getting right now. Somebody needs to take advantage of it.
Do you think there's any part of Amazon that was like, hold on, so we could get this and still not pay our workers more?
Probably.
I'm in. That sounds like a Amazon philosophy. Guys, let's go from that. Is that too far? Am I going to get heat with Bezos or
Big
whoever?
Amazon?
Yeah, big Amazon. All right. Do you remember when Malik Willis got drafted, the quarterback?
Yes.
Okay. I was hopeful.
Dynamic running ability.
Yeah.
Question marks on his arm, but he
team
could throw it
drafted
big
him?
too.
The Titans out of Liberty.
Oh, yeah. He stunk.
Yes, Mike. Actually, dude, you're not wrong. So they traded him to the Packers for a 2025 7th round pick. And I kept seeing all these articles. It was like, the Packers have found their backup quarterback behind Jordan Love. And I thought, I guess.
Was he in the Desmond Ritter draft? Like, is that
Was that the same?
Yes.
Yeah,
Man,
that's the draft.
What a
where I was like,
colossal disappointment.
This draft, I remember in card collecting, I'm like, I am not buying one card. And the person you should have bought was the dude who was the last pick in the draft.
Yes.
I just kind of went through this with you guys a few minutes ago, but from that draft and the draft before, Charles Robinson posted this, only 6 quarterbacks are still with their teams from the 2022 draft and the 2021 draft. Pickett, Ritter, Willis, Corral, Zappi, Howell, Oladokun, all gone. And then Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Kellen Mond, and Ian Book, if you will, Kevin, all gone.
Yeah.
Only Skylar Thompson, Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills, Sam Ehlinger, and Kyle Trask, Kevin's guy, are still on the teams that they were drafted by. That was 2 years of miserable drafting.
Does Trask have a Super Bowl? He wasn't on the team yet.
That was 21.
Okay, yeah, because they
yeah.
drafted him. Okay, good. I remember they drafted him, and it was the feeling that he would be the guy to take over for Brady.
Kevin was all in
No,
on Kyle Trask. That was his
Brandon
guy.
I think
was all in
Hey,
on Kyle
you
Trask.
You take credit for that guy.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
He's still with his team.
Yeah, he's still there.
You know who I would like to take credit
developing.
for? This player is out there on the waiver wire right now. The Las Vegas Raiders released defensive back Woo Governor. And that's just an objectively awesome name.
So you want to pick him up
Yes.
because you want a new governor in
No,
Texas?
I see what you're doing. I could just see Jerry coming on our program and be like, you heard who we just got, right? Woo, Governor.
We got the governor.
Yeah, I think that would be a blast.
He could probably remember his name.
I could see that. Couple more notes for you. TJ Hawkinson landed on the PUP, so he's going to miss the first 4 games of the season. Same thing for Jonathan Brooks. Remember, that's somebody that we had talked about a lot during the draft. Maybe the Cowboys would take a look there. He has been put on the PUP, so he's going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season as well.
That's tough.
I can't say that's particularly surprising on Brooks, though.
It's still tough.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, no. The
That's
Commanders waived Sam Hartman, the Notre Dame handsome man with the beard that Choppy loves so much.
Man. Somebody get Choppy on the horn. Make sure he's doing okay. Because we were at the Super Bowl, he's like, yep, I styled my beard and my hair after Sam Hartman. That was a real thing that really happened.
Choppy is a fascinating individual. That's for
Man,
sure.
that's a great way to put it. Fascinating individual. We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, which Cowboys player has upped his stock most during training camp? 877-881-1053. We'll do it next right here on The Fan.
You've made us number 1 in DFW.
Don't care what they say.
Thank you for laughing and enjoying.
Uber Eats has low fee products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen that before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean like your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean like this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
Nah, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No,
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound
From our Hiley Mazda of Arlington and her studios, it's the KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan.
KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Which Cowboys player has upped his stock most throughout training camp? 877-881-1053. If you want to get involved in the Franklin Injury Attorney text line. Also, you can hit us up on the Twitch, on the YouTube. And Corey, I forgot to mention my favorite thing from Gridiron. Do you know the
You should do that now then.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that. Do you know what Bill Belichick's nickname used to be?
Baby Bill.
Bad News Billy.
Little baby Billy.
No, not Baby Billy's Bible bonkers.
We cut T-Billy.
Bill Belichick said, my first year in the league in Baltimore, I was the guy. I was the jerk. I was Bad News Billy. If somebody saw me coming around anywhere, nobody wanted to see me because they knew I was coming to get them. It was bad news. It was always bad news.
Bad news.
Bad
Billy.
News Billy.
Mike, in baseball, are the red tags a real thing, or do they?
No, I asked my dad that when watched Major League for the first time, and he's like, no. And what they do is they just have. It could be an assistant coach. It could be the clubhouse guy. They just say, "Hey, Skip wants to see you."
Gotcha. And do you know, or
you know, like it's cut time today? You know, the ones that you might not know is
like in the middle of the
tomorrow.
season.
Jack Leiter's going to come back up and pitch. That means somebody's getting sent down.
Sure.
So you know, if you're the borderline pitcher on the team, you're like, please, Mike Maddox or whoever, don't come see me and tell me to go to Skip's office. Because you know, if that's the case, they're not telling you, hey, you're doing great. You get to stay on the team today. They're usually saying, you did great, but we're sending you down to the minors. And then you're like, I must have not done too great.
You get to stay on the team today. All right. So when it comes to the Cowboys, obviously we've been talking about cuts all day, from Lawson to Ball to Hendershot to get down to the 53-man limit by 3 o'clock. Are there players, whether it's in the preseason games, throughout training camp, watching the practices, that you think have upped their stock the most during this training camp run?
For me, it's Flournoy, Ryan Flournoy.
It's tough because the R is not part of it.
It was Flournoy before, and then it got changed on me. So Ryan Flournoy has upped his stock the most because I had some expectation going into camp of this guy's fighting for a job. And then I started watching and I was like, all right, I'm expecting a little more. And it took him a minute, it took him a beat to get his feet under him in the NFL, to understand what camp was about, and just to go out there and catch. And that was where I was like, okay, now he's starting to get it. And you started to see it, and he became the target to check out in games for Trey Lance. So I think he upped his for sure. The second one is Buddy Johnson.
Oh,
we had no expectation for Buddy Johnson, Kevin.
That's true.
And now he's going to make this team and be probably a contributing linebacker and a contributing special teamer for you. So that's huge upstock, because I had nothing for that guy.
Okay, I like those answers. Mike, would you like me to go next, or you want to jump in?
Well, I have two. He wasn't there.
Still upped his stock. He got paid bigger.
That is true.
That's a good point.
Can I throw two out that I don't think people? Because I'm not talking about players 45 through 53. Is it BB and Tyler Guyton, as both of those guys during training camp proved that they should be the starters?
Can I say that? And I don't know if this will work, but I understand what you're saying. Can I throw Brock Hoffman in there? Because, and I realize like one's going to start and one's not, but it feels like it's turned into a, hey, can Cooper Beebe take the job, to, holy crap, I think I actually feel pretty good about both of these guys. I'm not sure who's going to win the job. So I'm with you on that. I would kind of want to throw Hoffman in that category as well.
Okay. going into it, I'm basing this off of two people that watch Oklahoma football too much.
Carter.
Yep, and Corey. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys were like, no, he's talented, but he might not be ready.
Yeah, I thought
to start. And obviously, we haven't seen him play in a real game, but he did so well in practice and some of the reps, a few reps. He didn't get tons of reps in preseason, but that everybody feels very confident that he can be an average to hopefully above average tackle in the NFL his rookie year.
Yeah, I think he'll be above average, honestly.
Me too.
And mostly because his pass protection reps were really good in preseason games and in practice too. The other side of it was I didn't feel like I saw enough of the run reps that really made me go, okay, that's a monster over there. But he's next to Tyler Smith, and I feel like you got the monster in Tyler Smith right there. But yeah, his pass protection reps made me feel very comfortable. But again, we looked at the schedule in front of him early in the season. He's got a lot of tests very early in the season. You think those defensive coordinators aren't going to recognize that and line their guy up against him? That would be foolish not to go after him and see what he can do. But yeah, we thought he was raw.
Yeah,
and he's turned out to be very, he's a quick learn and he's very physical.
I wouldn't have guessed this at all, but it makes sense from the 817. It's Brandon Aubrey. I mean, good
because of
night.
the 70-something yard.
66.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
but
round
it would have
it
been
up.
good from
Yeah.
72. That's right. Is you just get to midfield and you're like, oh, let's give it a shot. That's why I want us to kick field goals instead of throw Hail Marys if the game is within that
does
distance.
too. Brandon
Yes.
Aubrey absolutely wants that opportunity. Justin Tucker always wanted that opportunity,
True.
right? He was always
True.
like, get me out there, coach.
From the 214, my answer is Dak. His value is up. I was going to throw out Deuce Vaughn.
Hold on. Before we talk about Vaughn,
You think it's just like the actual cost of his contract?
I wanted to ask about Dak's value being up. Is it because you saw what Trey Lance was and you were like, okay, he is not going to be a viable replacement for Dak? So
Anytime soon, yeah.
and, Kevin, we talked to national people. They all say Dak is a really good quarterback in the NFL. Across the NFL,
Yes.
he's really good. The national people do. We probably pick at the warts a lot more than they do, but
Sure.
they have a lot of respect for him. So did his stock go up for some reason, or was it because you saw Trey Lance wasn't good enough, or you just like, you know what, he is a good quarterback?
So I think there's some other people as well that think that CeeDee Lamb signing means Dak's value went up because they're like, you didn't pay a wide receiver the second most to not have a top-notch quarterback,
I don't
you know?
about that.
Okay.
Because look at Minnesota.
True.
Minnesota
Well,
went out and paid Justin Jefferson and said, we're moving on from Kirk Cousins.
would
who-
you argue that they at least invested a first-round pick?
Yes, they did. They
Clearly that's
absolutely
not
did.
gonna work
And they
out
got
this year.
Sam Darnold, which every great team does.
No.
Yeah, like, we can't wait to get this Sam Darnold guy out there.
All right, so you don't necessarily think that CeeDee Lamb signing means...
And they did say because of Trey Lance, by the way.
okay.
They said, yes, because Trey Lance didn't look like he could take over, Dak stock back up. So, yeah, no, I don't think it changes anything. I think Dak's a good quarterback. I think he's better with CeeDee Lamb. I think that combination of those two is very good.
Are you? You said Deuce Vaughn. Are we 100% sure he's making the team?
I would be
I feel very confident.
pretty surprised if
Okay.
he didn't make the team now, especially these last two games. What he's shown, I think that has given them the ability to move on from whether you think it's Royce Freeman or Malik Davis or whichever direction it's going to go. I think Deuce Vaughn is on this team.
Mike, it's like you have three right-handed pitchers that all throw fastballs and splitters. And you're like, okay, there we go, we're good. Well, don't you want a lefty that maybe has something else? You want to?
I would consider Deuce, like your submarine thrower.
Yeah, exactly. He would
Down
be. I know it's a joke, but you're
Would you
dead
like
on.
to see Deuce Vaughn and Bryce Young in the same backfield?
Oh my God! They'd be like, they're not playing a quarterback or a running back on this play.
Just an offensive line. Where did he snap it to?
Yeah. Who else is super short in this league?
Mike, I would love for you to put together your all-time short NFL team, like position by position. You're like, yep, all my offensive linemen are 5'8", 5'9". Bryce Young's
Well, that
out
kid
there.
that Alec talked about
Yes,
earlier.
That's
Perfect.
right. He'll be on the defensive line. I was going to throw out Awesome Richards and Jalen Brooks because you brought up Buddy Johnson. That's a great one. I know there was buzz about Willie Harvey, but I guess you maybe won't argue that anymore. But
Well, I mean, hey, look, he went from an undrafted free agent, for a guy from the UFL, right?
True.
To being
Back
on
to the
there
UFL.
and having some opportunities to get eyeballs on him. So that was a great opportunity for him.
And that probably will help further his career.
And you have that story for the rest of your life, if nothing else. Like, I know maybe it doesn't come out to be anything financially nominal,
Sure.
but you're looking back, and my friend growing up, his dad tried out for the Cowboys. Now, did his eyeball get poked out? Yes, it happened. But
What?
He had the opportunity to try out for the Cowboys.
Does he
and
only
play
have one
for them. No, he got it. The guy jammed his finger into the eye socket and then pulled back, and his eyeball popped out. So he's sitting on
my
the field,
gosh.
holding his eyeball in his hand, looking at himself with his eyeball, and they put it back in.
Merry Christmas.
I hope you're enjoying your lunch right now.
What?
The expressway coming up here in 15 minutes.
Holy cow, that is freaking terrifying. Man.
My apologies. I forgot about that story. But but again, has a
It's a
story to
horrible
tell
story.
for the rest of his life
No,
because
he
he tried out for the Cowboys.
I think I'd rather just have my eyeball never pop out of my head. In that instance,
Hey, I didn't notice. You know, I was a kid, and I didn't notice that his eye didn't look any different to me.
man, that is kind of a badass story. Like, if you're about to get in a fight with somebody, do you think you go like, Bob Lilly, pop my eyeball out of my socket?
Or
I ain't
maybe
afraid
you just
of you.
pop it out yourself, and you
Oh,
go, now
my
what? And they're like,
goodness.
"Ah!" They run away 'cause they're terrified.
Okay, well, now because I'm terrified of your story, I'm going to throw out two other ones. And we were talking about the rookies earlier. I actually am feeling pretty optimistic across this rookie
This is a good
class.
draft.
If you throw out Leafau and Carson's, and I realize you might be like, well, we haven't actually seen them.
And Nealon.
Yes, exactly, playing a game yet. But depending on where your expectations are, I feel like most folks feel good about Guyton, yes?
Yes.
Right now. And they feel good about Nealon.
Yes.
And they feel good about Beebe.
They're very good.
And they feel good about Leafau.
Yes.
And they feel good about Carson's. And they feel...
Well, I mean, they better.
Yes.
I mean, the way he performed, and they're going to need him.
And they feel good about Flournoy.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see once the season actually starts whether any of that confidence was warranted or not. But at this time last year, you were like, oh, crap. Overshown's out. Doesn't it? Because they're like, hey, then we can just sign all of our own.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't worry
We
about
got bird rights.
Okay, not bird rights, but the rest of it, I'm with you on that. We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, the Cowboys have a poor track record with wide receiver extensions. Will CeeDee be different? Plus, Mike likes it right here on The Fan.
Are you ready for some commercial-free KNC Masterpiece?
Yes, of course.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean, like your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean like this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
Attorney text line, or you can do it on the Twitch or the YouTube. Sorry about our internet speed. The Cowboys have a poor track record with wide receiver extensions. Will CeeDee Lamb be different? But also, I got a couple of quick NFL notes for you. Bailey Zappi was waived by the Patriots, so he's out there in the mix if you have any interest, which maybe not for this team, but just in general. And then also, Will Levis was the backup to Sean Clifford at Penn State until he transferred to Kentucky. And then Malik Willis was Will Levis's backup on the Titans until he got traded to the Packers. The Packers just cut Sean Clifford to keep Malik Willis. Okay. So if you're Clifford, you're like, damn, I was ahead of him.
I had a chance.
Now I'm out. Also, Desmond Ridder got cut by the Cardinals. So we can go back in time a little bit if y'all want to examine some of the catastrophic wide receiver contract extensions that the Dallas Cowboys have given out.
Let's go back in time.
All right. Do you want to start? Who do you want to start with?
Oh,
Michael Irvin's neck.
Not him. T.O.
I know. I mean, Dez ended up not working out, but I figured that might be. Oh, Roy Williams. Well, you only traded 2 firsts.
Yeah.
Joey Galloway.
Big deal.
Wait, you only traded 2 firsts there, right?
Yeah.
So let's start with most recent and go back.
Okay.
Des Bryant got an extension, 5 years, $70 million.
Hey, can I ask you a question about that? When was that extension signed?
After 2015? In 2015?
The week before the season started, or
whatever the last deadline was, it was like he ran up to the office to sign it. It was a big deal. I mean, it was a significant, huge deal that, oh my gosh, is he going to get right down to the last second? And then he magically signed.
And it was a gigantic mistake. Des Bryant had 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. It felt like he was in his prime. He broke a bone in his foot in 2015, played only 9 games, and his health was an issue from there. After the 2017 season, he was cut.
Ooh.
So he had 3 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons. 3 seasons later, he was gone. Go back to Terrell Owens.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Let's talk about Dez real quick. I heard Sean and RJ and Bobby and Peyton talking about this morning. And it was the question of, do you sign a guy for what he's done,
Yes.
what he's going to do, or what he's done and the projection of it? And Dez had done everything he needed to, right? He was a star receiver at that point.
Yeah.
You didn't expect his body was just going to fall apart on him like that. Is that...
Yeah, I was always more concerned about the mental aspect of him phoning it in once he got paid. And I know the injuries were a problem, but it does kind of feel like he phoned it in as well once he got paid. So that was always my concern with that. Never pay for what they've already done. Don't ever pay for that. If you're doing that in sports, you're making a bad decision. But if you're projecting what they're going to do, then that's where your contract needs to be. And I understand, like, rookie wage scales in most sports are really, really low. And so they're probably thinking, well, I want to make back the money that I didn't get on my rookie deal. Well, if you're a team, that's a foolish endeavor.
So what you're saying is the first 2 years of your contract float through. Year 3,
enough to stay on the team.
Show it.
Yeah.
And then hold out and be like, all right, now it's time for an extension.
I mean, there's an odd logic to that actually makes a lot of sense to me, because if you're great for 3 years and then you want to redo it, you're probably like, no, but I was great for these 3 years. And the team's like, yeah, I appreciate that, but I'm not paying for those 3 years retroactively.
And you're like, well, you get 3 years. That's it.
For Terrell Owens in 2008, he signed a 4-year, $34 million deal with $27 million in the first 3 years. Now, he was a productive player leading into this, but after this contract, he was released when the season was over. And essentially,
after that contract,
his career went a big bag of nowhere after that. And then think about how tough this time frame was, because a few months after extending Owens' contract, the Cowboys gave the Lions 4 draft picks, a first, a third, a sixth, and a seventh for Roy Williams. He signed a 5-year, $45 million extension. He was also 26. In his 40 games with the Cowboys, he caught 94 passes for 1,324 yards and 13 touchdowns. That's a heck of a season. But that was what he did with the Cowboys after they gave up all those draft picks for him and gave him an extension. And several of these players were young. So I guess my question is twofold. Will CeeDee Lamb be different? And if so, why do you think it'll be different versus, we could just say these 3 players or whoever else you want?
Corey, I'll be optimistic here and say yes. I don't think, and I get the love for Dez Bryant. He has a lot of people, Alec might be one of them, that's their favorite Cowboy ever. Am I correct about that, Alec?
He says no.
Oh,
no.
Sorry. I was thinking,
who's your favorite Cowboy ever out?
Probably Romo.
All right, there you go.
Okay, even worse. So,
wow.
There's a lot of Dez fans.
Yeah.
I get it. Dez was never as good as CeeDee Lamb. Now, he was close. I'm not saying he wasn't, but you guys are talking about fantasy football earlier and about CeeDee Lamb being a top 3 pick. Dez was, I mean, help me if I'm wrong here, at best maybe end of the first round in fantasy draft.
Like if you have
10, if you have 12 teams, like somewhere between 8 and 15 is kind of like at his peak prime. Like I think CeeDee Lamb is just, he's another level, he's another tier, another level above these guys we're talking about. Where T.O. was at in his career.
Yeah.
Was late, yeah.
Roy Williams was kind of more of a hope. Does that make sense? Like, we hope he comes over here and is great or better than he was in Detroit.
They thought he was the final piece.
They really did.
Whenever they made that move to get him, they were like,
so
we're going to have something nobody else has with this receiver group.
I'm optimistic that CeeDee Lamb, this contract over 4 years, he will be a premium top 5 receiver in the game all of the years.
Okay.
Somebody did ask about Amari Cooper, and I don't know if you consider that a good or bad contract.
Look into that one a little bit more.
Because he was in the top 5 of receivers being paid. I mean, if not top 2 receivers being paid at that time. And ultimately, it did not turn out the way you expected and or wanted it to.
True.
So I can't tell if that was good or
but
bad.
it feels like that one was somewhat better
Okay.
than the rest.
I would have to dive a little more into
Did he
it.
He lasted 2 seasons into his 5 for
I think so,
100
yeah.
deal?
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's another thing. I don't think Amari Cooper was ever as good or is as good as CeeDee Lamb. So you brought up reasons for these players, and I like that. So T.O., by the time we talked about the other contract extension with the Cowboys, he was 35. So you can argue age on that. For Roy Williams, he just was more of a projection and a hope, and we did that poorly. And then for Dez Bryant, he was a damn good player, but maybe not as good as CD. So I think these are all valid reasons for why this contract extension for CeeDee Lamb will be different, because it's 4 years, $136 million, $34 million guaranteed, or excuse me, $34 million per year, $100 million guaranteed, $38 million signing bonus. So now I want to move to that. So you believe this will be different. Will this go down as a good contract signing?
Yes. The only thing that would concern me, and I think they're going to match up Dak with this contract, not today or tomorrow, but I think he's going to get a 3-year deal.
I got you.
So it matches up a little bit. I guess a CD would have 1 more year, but as long as Dak is his quarterback, I think he's going to have great numbers. Now, it's an unknown if Dak leaves or if the Cowboys decide to move on and you go with a first-round rookie quarterback in 2025. Sometimes your numbers could go down significantly, and CD's running the same route, getting open at the same rate, all of these things, but the quarterback doesn't have the ability to get him the ball as much as Dak.
You know what's interesting, Mike? You said when he was drafted, you believed he was a future Hall of Fame Cowboy.
Yeah.
And you felt like he was going to break all the records in the Cowboys receiving record book. There's still a possibility. Somebody was just texting
Off
me
to
and
a
asking
good
the question.
start, yeah.
I mean, it looks like Mike's he got that one right. Give Wyatt Langford some time is what I'm saying here. You know, give him some time. You were really hyped about him.
I know.
You know, so
he's worrying me.
Give him some time, all right? But and that's with CeeDee Lamb. You're starting to see those numbers look very good. So are you saying that the Cowboys are bad at recognizing it, or just bad luck?
So I don't usually, I'm not saying it never happens, but I think that other reasons are more likely than luck.
Gallup.
See, the only
does that count?
I didn't put Gallup in the list just because he wasn't marquee.
Yeah,
the
he
way
was
the rest
like a
of them
good
were.
number 2.
Yeah, but he wasn't big time or at the top of it like the rest of them were.
Does this matter at all? Dez and T.O. had issues. CD doesn't seem to have those issues. And I'm not talking about football issues. I'm talking about being a teammate issue. And there's a lot of guys that did like T.O., a lot of guys who didn't like T.O., and that was the issue in there. Dez at times, time was not a word that he understood.
Yeah.
I don't know what time anything starts at. I show up when I show up. I'm ready to practice and play hard when I do, but I don't know about this thing you guys call 10 a.m. I don't know what that means, you know? True. So I just wonder if, for me, being optimistic is you're not going to have to worry about CeeDee Lamb and possibly, maybe I'm wrong about this, I don't know him at all, his lifestyle, or at times you're like, hey, do you even want to, like what's the deal? Like, because I don't think Tony Romo and Jason Witten are drawing up plays in the sandbox or whatever.
Right. I have to admit that is also not a concern I have about CeeDee Lamb. I've seen some people say that, text in, and at least one in the Twitch say that they were worried that he was mentally fragile. I have CeeDee.
Oh man, I don't think so.
I haven't gotten that sense.
Could that be based off? I'm not saying it's true. Could that
game?
be? Yeah, the first series or second series, they throw the ball behind him on a slant,
and then he's off,
and he was furious.
Yeah, and again, they never addressed that specifically that I've heard, and we didn't really know exactly what they were disputing in there, other than was the ball behind me. Like, that could be it. I think there was a time, Kevin, early in his career where he didn't just take over the room. He had Amari Cooper there, and so he didn't take over and be the alpha receiver in the room. And they were the Cowboys actually questioned that and asked him, "Hey, we need more of this out of you." So once he did it last year. He got his opportunity. He took advantage of it. He did it last year. So I think he's done everything in my mind to prove that he deserved what he's gotten. as far as the way you're going to go and produce for the Cowboys. Now, can he be a key factor in getting the Cowboys over the top and getting somewhere else? He has to be.
I think I'm in the place right now where he's a key factor to keep this thing going.
Dude, and you remember on draft day when he's on his phone and that girl goes and grabs his phone, he nuh-uh. I mean, that's mental strength right there. Give me that phone real quick. What do you think you're doing? Trying to talk on my phone right now.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
And they're married now?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I have no idea. By the way, CeeDee Lamb, perfect time for him to cash in. 135 catches, 1,749 yards, 12 touchdowns, and Corey, your favorite, a 74% catch rate. All career high numbers. So clearly happened at the right time. But you also concern me because you're like, watch out for that contract year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb recognizes he's going to get good money now. I think he's going to continue being a professional.
Good.
But watching him in college and then watching him where he is now, he's done everything I thought he would do.
We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. If you can get cut number 5 ready, I was hoping that we would have time for this.
Grimes just getting after it. Blocked by Grimes. What a great defensive play that started out on the perimeter.
Now, obviously, basketball has fallen to the wayside for a while, but Dallas Morning News was running a series of questions, and one of them that intrigued me, and I wanted to pitch it out to you guys and get your thoughts. Are the acquisitions of Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes for the Mavericks just as impactful as picking up Klay Thompson?
Okay, this is interesting you say this. I had no clue this was going to be a topic today.
I did send the run sheet to you.
I didn't see the Grimes
Okay.
It was in the middle of the run sheet.
I was talking to somebody who, I'll say, covers the Mavs.
Whoa!
And
sources.
Their thought is that as this season progresses, Najee Marshall is going to be one of the 5 best players on this team and will be at the end of the game. So the final 5, he thinks will have Najee Marshall over Klay Thompson. So when you're asking this question, if that happens, if Najee's the one out there with Luka, Kyrie, PJ, and Derek Lively, then yeah. Now, I know you played a Quentin Grimes highlight, and I do think
I wanted to include both of them.
Yeah, he'll be part of the 8-man rotation, and I know it'll be bigger than 8, but I do think when you name the 8 guys, I do think after you get past the 3 Hall of Famers, your 2 centers, PJ Washington, I do think the next 2 major guys, correct me if I'm wrong, will be Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes. And you'll play Kleba. I'm not saying Kleba won't play, and you'll have another guy in the rotation, whether it's Spencer Dinwiddie, whether it's Jaden Hardy. I totally get it, and it's a long season. But, yeah, I think this is a great question because I think I don't want to go this far yet, but there's enough people around Mavericks world that believe Najee Marshall is going to have a major impact on this team.
That to be more of a factor than Klay is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because we did see that Najee hits open 3-pointers pretty consistently. He has I think his number was in the high 40s somewhere.
So, and by the way, just if you want to compare season over season, him versus Derek Jones, 38.7% for Najee versus 34.3% for Derek Jones. So that is a noticeable difference.
Yeah, and again, hitting the wide open 3-pointer, the non-pressure 3 is a big deal too because Luka's going to create those opportunities for you. If you have that many guys on the court that can score, it'll open up for the dude that nobody cares about because he's not one of their main guys. So that could be a big factor. I don't know, because of his defensive toughness too. I think that's a big deal.
That's their thought process is that, yes, both of them will play a lot, but at the end of the game, who is going to guard Anthony Edwards?
Yeah.
Who is going to guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Who is going to guard these guys? And
it was Derek Lively.
I think the Mavericks believe, in picking, role that it could be, but I think the Mavericks believe the guy to guard those guys is Najee Marshall.
I like it.
And that's why I liked the idea of comboing them up, because I look at Quentin Grimes as I'm not saying at the very end of the game, but he's another defensive threat, and he's another guy who shot 38% from three last year. So you feel like even if it's 4 to 5%, you've upgraded some of your three-point shooters and still kept the defensive part that you want.
I feel like you're very flexible defensively, more so than you've been in a while. And you were pretty flexible last year, but I feel like you're an even better flexible team, considering the two almost liabilities. They're tryhards, but they're kind of liabilities defensively, and Luka and Kyrie when they're on the court.
The Mavericks are loaded. I'm not saying they're the best team in the NBA. It goes to Boston. They just destroyed our Mavs. The Mavs, though, did make it to the NBA Finals, and they improved in the offseason. I struggle. If anybody said no, they got worse because they lost, let's say, Jones, I'd be like, dude, you got Klay Thompson.
That's why I wanted to do
Najee
some of those
Marshall,
comparisons.
You got Quentin Grimes. Grimes is like picking up, going to another one is Jordan Montgomery. If Jordan Montgomery does come back to the Rangers next year, I'm all excited about that. I've seen what he's done. Grimes had a bad year this year. You're picking up a dude who has shown a lot of ability in the NBA, who then for some reason dropped off. Now, maybe he's totally dropped off, and you have the depth that if he does, you never have to play him a second. But what if he gets back to the guy of 2022, 2023?
Yeah.
You just got yourself a really nice piece that a lot of teams give those guys $15 to $20 million a year.
I'm intrigued, and that's why I wanted to bring this topic up. By the way, it's in the Dallas Morning News, an interesting read if you want to check that out.
You're an interesting read.
Thank you. We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan, and right now, it's time for some Mike Likes It.
Okay, well, it looks like old Kid Cowboy on YouTube right now is having political discussions.
Oh, great. That always brings people together.
Yeah, he's talking about colors of states.
Can I ask a serious question? And we don't need to get into the weeds at all on this if you don't want to.
Who you're voting for?
No. How many people have ever changed their mind in the midst of one of these political, I'm going to say arguments as opposed to discussions? Has anyone ever been like, you know what? You're right. I'm voting your side.
I voted for Obama because the Mavericks started off 0-4, and I wanted to be part of the winning side.
Corey, your thoughts on that?
The Mavericks started off the 07-08 season.
That was not the year of the Obama election.
What year was it?
That would have been the 08-09 season.
They got off to a bad start, and I'm like, I want to be part of a winner. And I already knew who was going to win, so I figured out, let me vote for the winner.
All right.
I did.
I 100% I believe you.
So there. So I changed my mind when I went into the booth.
But not okay because of
Mavs lost last night. I'm tired of being part of the losing side.
The Mavericks leading into the election, I believe they were 2-3.
Yeah, see?
Or no, wait. 2-4, and they had a game that night.
Was that a bit that you were doing, or was it just like a mental, like, this is how I've decided?
It's got to be that second one, right?
Everybody knew Obama was winning.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't know if that totally fits in I just want to know when people argue about politics, how often somebody is like, you're right. I can see.
Yeah, I always feel like when you ask more questions in political discussions, you get a better conversation than everybody coming to the table going, let me tell you why each side's the stupidest.
Look, I'm a high educated voter. I like the Colin Allred commercial, so I'm probably voting for him.
Okay. Well, in your face, some of people's perceptions of Mike.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy. So, okay.
That's the purpose of these commercials.
Mike likes it. I dropped DirecTV.
Oh my gosh.
So I know you guys talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I took the step. So the Mavericks are gone from DirecTV. We've known for a little bit now that the Stars are gone from DirecTV.
What I said yesterday, Mike, not to put you on the spot, if I had to bet, I think it was overwhelmingly likely that the Rangers will leave as well.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it. I don't know. I have no clue. But it seems like it. But I don't need direct. I have the MLB package.
Sure.
So I'm like, I don't need DirecTV anymore. I called them up Friday night after I got done with the pregame show for the Rangers, and I have to sit there and watch the game and then get ready for a postgame show. And I'm like, well, let me drop DirecTV. And, they ask you like, hey, can we ask, why are you leaving us? I'm like, well, because I only had you guys because you guys have Bally Sports, and that's where the Stars, Mavericks, and Rangers play. And it looks like you guys aren't going to have, Bally's isn't going to have those anymore. We know 2 of them are factually correct. I don't know anything about the Rangers, but it just doesn't feel like,
sure.
So I'm like, I don't need this anymore. And if the Rangers go back to Bally's, I guess I'll get DirecTV in April.
Yeah.
And
then get a sweet discount again.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know. Has anybody been that extreme? I see YouTube up here on this computer. Has anybody just had DirecTV? I think if you're a Rangers, Mavs, Stars fan, you had to have it. I get people like, I'm not watching. And look, in 1987, people don't realize this. 1987, I had to go to my grandparents' house to watch the Mavericks in one of the games. Alex, this will freak you out here. You had the playoff games at times were pay-per-view.
Yes.
You didn't get to the Sonics versus the Mavericks was just not on TNT or CBS. It was literally, this is a night game in Seattle. It's not on the major networks. There were only, 25, 30 channels in 1987. Like, if you want to watch this, you can pay $6 or $9, whatever it was back then, to HSE or your cable provider, and you'll be allowed to watch the Mavericks playoff game. So it is weird when people yell and like, I can't believe I have to pay. Well, yeah, we've kind of always had to pay at times to watch your local team play, besides the Cowboys, because they're on the national provider. But I'm like, it was weird when people were like, I'm not doing it. And I get it. DirecTV for me, guys, was $113 after all the, add-on stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to see how long I can go without television.
Oh, okay.
Now, obviously you have the app, the YouTube, and we have all kinds of crap, right? Like everybody does. So
you're still going to do all that?
Yeah, well, because my family likes watching certain things on those apps.
Gotcha.
But I want to see how long I can go without having television.
I think that's a great.
And save like $113.
Yeah.
And then we'll see, like, do I go to YouTube? Do I go to Hulu? Do I figure out how to Jimmy Jacket and, get it for free?
There are a lot of suggestions about that. I, of course, would never recommend anyone breaking the law, but you're right. I have DirecTV still.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we stayed with it.
I'm actually currently looking at YouTube TV plans because I have Fubo, but it's slightly higher than YouTube TV for me with the Red Zone package. I had Red Zone. I didn't have the Sunday ticket or whatever it was. But I had Red Zone, and that was good enough for me, and I could see most of the games. So I'm really just looking at, I do wonder, too, how will we be looking at, for football season, I'll have this. For baseball, hockey, and basketball season, I'll have this. And you just keep making those switches back and forth.
I could see that.
All right, so now that's over.
Okay.
I feel like I've asked you guys this question before, but it can change every year. I get you guys are diehard Cowboy fans, and there's nothing the Jones family can do to you guys to get you to stop watching stop loving them.
And have I told you why that is? Like, I don't know if
your family situation.
Yeah, exactly. Just because, like, I watched the Cowboys with my mom. That's true too. That's very fair. I watched the Cowboys with my mom. And now I pass that down to watching it with Brandon and hopefully Noah. And so, like, that's a part of our life and family structure. And so even when I get mad at the Jones family, which is plenty, I'm like, this is still part of our family.
Your mom hated the Mavericks?
She did not hate the Mavericks. She loves I love the Mavericks too.
Well, how come you didn't pass that down to your son?
Okay, we watch all the sports together. You just specifically asked about the Cowboys.
I know, but you made him a Bulls fan.
He's a Bulls fan.
Well, that is because of our Chicago roots. I couldn't stop it.
So here's my question for you guys, and I didn't run this by you previously, so you're just going to have to work off the top of your head here.
Deal with it.
I get you guys are Cowboy fans, but if you had to follow one other team this year and watch all of their games and kind of follow their transactions and what's going on and all that stuff, what would be the other NFL team you'd really want to follow to see how they do in 2024?
Well, I mean, it would definitely be the Chiefs. And the Chiefs, by the way, Kadarius Toney.
He got cut too, right?
And I believe I just saw another Chief was cut. Receiver. Give me a second, Kevin.
Okay.
Justin Ross.
Okay.
They're releasing him as well. But I think it would be the Chiefs because they're the team at the top, and they have entertaining options when it comes to Mahomes, Kelsey, and more.
I'm glad that you said that because I was hoping I could steal your favorite team. I would pick the Detroit Lions because they have never won jack S in the Super Bowl era. I know they used to be good a really long time ago.
So it'd be like the Rangers if
Yes. Can you imagine if you'd never watched Rangers baseball and jumped in last year? You'd be like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And that city is desperate for success. I'm not, obviously, Kansas City still wants to win, make history with the Super Bowl three-peat, but Detroit has never won or even been to a Super Bowl. It feels like they're a very good team that could be on the cusp, and they might be fun. That feels like a fun ride to jump in on.
And all the offensive linemen wipe the front of their jerseys every time they come into the game. It's pretty awesome.
It's me.
Secret.
I'm the one.
By the way, Kilton Collins, he's talking about his father. He could never leave the Cowboys. No, I'm not telling you to leave the Cowboys. I'm just saying if you had to choose another team to follow closely, he's like Velvet Thunder here says he would choose. Did I say that wrong?
Oh, I like it.
No, that's just a strong name.
He said he would choose the Texans as the team he would want to follow.
I get that.
This year.
Was that Reggie, you think?
It might be my
Isn't
buddy
Reggie
Rick.
working right now?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe the Dolphins too. Like I like Mike McDaniels for one. Like that's I just think he's a fun coach, but they have a fun offense to watch. It's explosive. That has me kind of interested in what they're doing as well. But yeah, the Texans are a good option right now because they're on the rise.
Yeah, so obviously last year, not just last year, but I chose to follow Trevor Lawrence.
Sure.
And look, I feel like I'm honest with these things. I've been wrong on him, and he's been disappointing to watch. It doesn't mean he's bad. He's like
he's
an
not bad.
average to a hair above average quarterback in this league. But he has not reached close to his potential or what everybody thought he could be out of Clemson. There's been issues there with that organization. He did get drafted by one of the worst organizations in football, and you have to overcome that. Let's see if he can and if he can get better at reading, and I'm going to follow him as much as I can. For me, it's always the Chiefs right now because of Patrick Mahomes and just how unbelievably great he is. And they're pretty easy to follow because I'd have to go look. I feel like I don't do the red zone or the NFL
I'm still
package.
fascinated by that.
I feel like the Chiefs, there's going to be 13 of their 17 games that will be on my television without having to pay an extra dime.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
For Jacksonville, it is tougher. They'll probably have 5 games that they're either the main game or like obviously Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, easy. That's on TV. There's no competition.
Yeah.
It's Sunday. Are you the noon game, the 3:00 game? And obviously the Cowboys will be part of that where they'll always be one of those games when they're not playing the other days or nights. So, those would be the two teams. Now I ask you this question. If you felt like you were getting punished and you had to follow this team, you would be miserable and you'd be like, this would make me hate football if I had to follow this NFL team all year on how bored I would be and miserable I would be having to follow this team.
For a long time, it would be the Jets. And the Browns. Those two teams would just poke my eyeball out.
Velvet Thunder says the Panthers.
The only thing about that, though, and this is what I was factoring in my decision, you can watch Bryce Young and hope that something amazing happens. I realize it may not, but I think it might be, for me, might be the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah. I think the Arizona Cardinals.
What a team that is.
Now, you would get Kyler Murray and you would get Marvin Harrison Jr. because I'm going to
cool.
give you one in our division.
And lots of L's.
If I had to follow the Giants and Daniel Jones, who I know is done as a quarterback in the NFL.
Because you get Neighbors, but...
And there's no, what wide receiver?
Malik Neighbors, right?
Neighbors is going to be really good.
Daniel Jones is going to, unless he dresses as a green turf, he's not going to get the ball.
I'd like if it was a singular. If he dresses as a green turf.
Wouldn't that be a great joke if somebody for the wide receiver core for Halloween dressed up as turf, and they're like, hey, since you don't seem to be able to hit our numbers or the jersey and it always hits the ground, we dressed up as ground.
Probably not great for Daniel Jones, right? He wouldn't think that was a hilarious bit, would he?
Probably not.
Okay. I would think it's a hilarious
That's Mike likes
bit.
it.
We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, it's time for the C Block starring Corey Majors.
This guy is suing the North Carolina State Board of Education, and a new study says being polite to women is sexist. Next on The Fan.
It's the Rangers and White Sox opening a 3-game series.
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
From our Highly Mazda of Arlington and Hearst studios, it's the KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan.
KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Right now, it's time for the C Block starring Corey Majors.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I really do appreciate that. I did want to get to this first, and I don't know how much of our time this is going to consume because I would like to tell the Lakers politely to F off and stay away. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Let me...
I don't mind what you're saying here. They're the team I hate the most in all of sports.
Let's go to cut 9 here, Alec. It is Kevin O'Connor, and this was something I wanted to get to yesterday, Kevin, but the CeeDee Lamb news
Yes, that's right.
during our break before C Block, so I didn't get to have this conversation. I'm glad Mike's here so we can dive in after this. But this is Kevin O'Connor on the Lakers eyeing one Luka Doncic for their future.
I've reported on this podcast and on The Ringer how they have their sights set for Luka in the future. We'll see if that works out. Dallas just made a finals. Dallas is looking better than ever with their supporting cast. That may not work out. But the Lakers, by not trading their future picks, clearly they're still thinking long-term at this point. They're not going all in like you might expect many teams to do with LeBron James.
So, again, I would like to tell them politely to F off and just stay away from our Luka because, look, man, I think Luka, maybe he plays like 5 more years and then says, I'm done, I'm retiring because my body just, I don't want this. I don't know if you've seen the videos today. He's enjoying the farm life. And he looks healthy, by the way. The videos, he looks pretty good.
Is he back home?
Yeah, in Slovenia, he's on the farm hanging out. So maybe that's his future. But Kyrie, Clay, and Spencer Dinwiddie all chose the Mavericks over the Lakers.
It took Dinwiddie a second.
Took him a second, and he chose the Lakers first and then chose us again. But it's still, hey, we got it. But I don't like that the Lakers have pretty much, and Mike said this, gotten whatever they've wanted their entire existence.
Did they draft Wilt Chamberlain?
Nope.
They draft Shaquille O'Neal?
Nope.
I guess
Jabbar.
Jabbar. Kobe manufactured his draft pick there. And Jerry West was smart enough to figure this out, to keep the high school kid away and make sure that he could maneuver. And Kobe was like, I'll make sure to tell all the other teams, screw off. I ain't playing for anybody.
Yeah, and then they get LeBron, and it's just, and Anthony Davis. They make trades for him. You know, it's frustrating. And I'm going to enjoy Luka while he is a Maverick, every bit of it, because he's a blast to watch. He's awesome. But
I can still tell them F off.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and throw that out there and just good luck, Lakers.
Is there, because I know in the past you've talked about a way to annoy so-and-so fan base. Is there something that you think we should mobilize on or do to annoy the Lakers or keep them away from Luka?
I guess we could just keep posting, did the Lakers get swept? On the internet. We could just keep doing that. I don't really know exactly what our plan would be to keep them away from Luka. Maybe we build a wall around Luka.
By the way, in case you're curious what that's in reference to, go to didthelakersgetswept.com, which was registered since, I believe, the 2011 playoff series against the Mavericks. Just whenever you get a chance, didthelakersgetswept.com. and enjoy.
For me, Mike, no, unless Luka just demanded it.
Right.
No amount of picks would be enough to replace the player. For me.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I mean, the NBA works in a way that these guys just say, I'm just not playing for you anymore. And there's nothing the organization can do except send them to the team they want to go to for the most part. The thing is I get the Lakers history. We just went over the history. They never draft well. They just get the best players in the world to sign with them or get traded in a sign and trade situation. So maybe that will be Luka's path 3 to 5 to 6 years from now. But it seems like a weird path right now because they're not good at basketball. And LeBron will be retired. By the time Luka makes the decision, I don't want to be in Dallas anymore, LeBron is unbelievable still, but he won't be playing anymore. It won't be like I'm going to join LeBron in 2028 or 2030. Maybe he will be around, but
God help us all if that's still going.
From the 214, don't Laker my Luka, is what they're saying.
Yes.
And then from the 972, And I'm eyeing Casey Musgraves. Guess what? Ain't no chance in hell. So there you go.
Okay.
So
I would not have gotten that reference without it being spelled out
Go
for me.
check out her Christmas special on Amazon Prime next year, or this year around Christmas time. It's always one of my favorites.
Okay.
It's nice and fun. All right.
I thought she was a band until you just said
She's
that.
a singer.
Okay. It's not the Casey Musgraves band. It's just
I
Casey
think it's
Musgraves.
Casey Donahue you're thinking of.
That is different.
It's just her, but it's her Christmas special.
Okay.
Lots of fun guests.
Okay.
So there you go.
How's that girl doing who sung the national anthem before the home run derby?
The girl who went into rehab?
You think she did?
I mean,
she said she was going to. So
that's what she said. I don't know.
Not really sure. You know what? From the 3-2-1, if we're going to build a wall around Luka, we should all pay for the wall, is what I suggest.
This feels like dangerous territory.
Kevin, Faison Brandon, a 5-star quarterback and the number 1 ranked prospect in the class of 2026.
Okay.
Is suing the North Carolina State Board of Education over its ban of endorsement deals for student athletes of public high schools.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
His mom is joining him in this lawsuit. I believe that she has to.
Yeah. Oh, I bet she is joining him in this lawsuit.
In the full complaint, it was written that back in April, Brandon was approached by a prominent national trading card company.
Okay.
I don't know what a prominent national trading card company would be.
It seems like either Topps or Panini.
He was presented with an opportunity to provide a certain volume of signed memorabilia prior to his high school graduation.
Maybe a leaf.
In exchange, NIL sponsor 1 would pay Brandon a substantial sum of money with payments structured over time.
Okay.
The agreement would provide him and his family with financial security for years to come. And now, because there is a ban in North Carolina, and they're saying, look, you can't at high school level get NIL money, the complaint suggests that potentially millions of dollars that Brandon has no guarantee of ever recouping is gone. And he said, I feel like this is important because we're able to benefit off what we worked on. This will help other kids, not just myself, down the road.
Sure.
Get into a financially secure situation and be better off. I don't know how the state can battle this and say it's like, because I think I saw 32 other states or 31 other states already allow it.
Yes.
So because so many other states already allow, 38 states and the District of Columbia already allow it. So their respective athletics governing bodies permit high school athletes to engage in NIL activities.
Can I ask you guys a question about this? All right, so let's say he wins this suit and all the high school players are eligible for NIL money. Do you think that has any impact for the high-level players in terms of college? Like, would they possibly go for not the most money school versus I think this could be the best for my career going forward?
Because they got money in high school?
Yeah.
I think the opposite.
Oh.
They're going to want more money when they get to college?
Yeah, I think that this is I'm not saying what the kid's doing is right or wrong or the parent, but I think that we're getting into really the WH word, kind of blanking out like
boring.
Gotcha.
This situation. And I understand. I want to make sure my son is good at baseball. I don't know if he's going to be a Division I like freshman, I don't know. Like it might be one of those things where in a way for baseball you might need to go to junior college, but I didn't know there's this much money in college baseball until recently when I'm like, oh my gosh, there's this much money in college baseball. And I will say, Jake, I'm not telling you that me and my wife or me and his mom, I'll say have tons of money, but I don't want him to choose. I'm just going to throw out 2 schools, Arkansas and Oklahoma State. I don't want him to choose Arkansas because they're giving him $10,000 more a year his freshman year to go there. I want to, hey, what school do you like more? What coach do you like more? But I understand a lot of parents will say, no, they're going to give us $10,000 more this year. You need to up yours by $15,000 if you want us to go there. And I just think that's where it's going. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think too many people are going to, bad word themselves out in this situation. And to your point, I just don't know if that's going to be best for the kid overall, because I want kids to somewhat get paid in college. I understand, especially football makes zillions of dollars. But are we setting up these kids ultimately for success? Because when they do graduate college, they're back to $0.
This is interesting. And somebody texted in, I went to confirm it on the Charlotte Observer. In North Carolina, private school stars can take NIL money. Public school stars cannot.
It's kind of UIL versus TAPS type of deal.
And
like
that seems that seems like a haves and haves not situation.
That's why the kid here left South Lake Carroll, right?
Quinn Ewers?
Yeah. He had an NIL deal, and they were like, you can't do it in the state of Texas. So he's like, well, then I'm done.
Hey, look, let's face it. TAPS has been able to circumvent those rules for a while with, hey, I can magically afford this tuition for free now. And so that's been in place, I feel like, for a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So that's the story. I think we're going to keep following that one. I think we're going to keep an eye on that one because I would like to see how that is ruled. Now, I did see this from the New York Post, Kevin. Benevolent sexism refers to a belief that women are vulnerable and need protection of men.
Oh.
Which can understandably be misconstrued as simply being polite. However, this seemingly protective and fatherly view of manhood is founded on the same male chauvinistic principle.
Oh, my God.
Essentially, that men are superior to women as, quote unquote, hostile sexism and open expression of contempt for women.
When they say protection, are they saying like physical protection?
Just being being nice.
So if you
chivalry.
offered to walk someone to their car because maybe you don't live in the best neighborhood, could that be viewed as sexism?
Sexism.
Even though you're just like, I don't want you to get hurt?
Let me read on a little more here, Kevin.
Thank you.
Adding to the list of red flags, a new report published in the Journal of Sex Research. I didn't know there was a Journal of Sex Research. Explored whether sexist attitudes were a reliable predictor of infidelity, as well as the likelihood that benevolent versus hostile sexist men were to cheat, as opposed to those with no sexist values in their direction. The first test involved 379 heterosexual men from the U.S. who answered questions to assess their level of sexist values, as well as their likelihood of cheating, including whether or not they'd cheated and all that stuff. A follow-up trial involved another 544 straight American men to confirm the preceding results. The survey confirmed both hostile and benevolent sexist attitudes as significant indicators of infidelity. And the more sexist the men were, the more likely they were to have considered or committed cheating on their partner. So if you're nice to women,
that is confusing a little bit.
Sexist.
Also, sometimes I think the definition of sexism, I guess in this example, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like if you're nice to someone, they're like, well, that's because you think they're weaker and you're sexist.
Yeah, sometimes you're just nice because they don't understand and you have to explain things to them. You have to tell them how things are done because they don't understand it.
Isn't that mansplaining? Isn't that what you're saying?
I don't know what you're talking about, Kevin.
No.
Sometimes you just have to, people don't know things and you have to teach them, is what I'm saying.
Oh, my goodness.
Like my kids, they don't know things sometimes, Kevin, and I just try to show them.
Can you get a hold of these surveys? I would like you to take them.
Take one of these
see
sexist surveys.
how that plays out.
My likelihood of cheating, very low. I'll just put it to you that way.
And that's why I need you in the sexism survey, because I do
Gotta
not
balance
know.
out the numbers.
I don't know if your answer would be super low for that. I'm not sure.
I'll see if I can find the sexism survey.
Okay.
On the Journal of Sex Research.
Is this too much? No, this idea, is this too much?
Have we gone too far?
Yeah, like I'm being nice.
We're going way too far in a lot of categories Kevin, in our world right now.
Yeah.
So this makes total sense where our world is headed.
And that's the C Block, ladies and gentlemen.
We're the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, it's
Being nice
time.
to your kids is ageism.
It's time for the Tuesday tailgate. 7th year seniors, an Irish upset, and Happy Gilmore next on The Fan.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean, like, your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean, like, this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, forgive me a little bit.
Today at carsforkids.org and the personal injury lawyers, Frankel and Frankel. If you've been injured in a car or truck wreck, call Frankel first, 214 or 817-333-3333. With Frankel and Frankel, there is never an out-of-pocket cost. They only get paid when you win. Frankel and Frankel, the go-to car and truck wreck attorneys in Dallas.
44 yards away to it.
KNC Masterpiece back here on 105.3 The Fan. It's time for the Tuesday tailgate. We got all kinds of stuff today. And, of course, we bring in our college football expert, Carter Freeman.
What's up, guys?
Who has already destroyed one of the points I was going to bring up that's amazing.
Go ahead with the point then. I got a question after.
Spencer Petras, the quarterback for Utah State, he's in his 7th year of college football. Alan Bowman from Oklahoma State, also in his 7th year of college eligibility. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Carter comes in and says,
there's a player at Miami, Cam McCormick. He is a 9th-year senior this year. I know he began his career at Oregon, and like 9 years would be 2016, 2015, sometime around then. And I believe he's had 3 separate leg injuries plus the COVID year that he's redshirted all those years and has made it all the way to almost a decade in college football.
That is impressive.
Okay,
It's Van Wilder.
When somebody asks you, what do you do? He says school.
What is more amazing to you, Corey, this 9th-year senior or Georgia offensive tackle Yazir Jackson, who is 6'11" and weighs 350 pounds?
That's interesting.
Georgia's line, I think, has several ginormous human beings on it.
Unbelievable. And he was a former AAU basketball teammate of Bronny James.
Oh, really?
Fun.
So he's going to end up on the Lakers, too.
I guess I cannot rule that out.
Feels like that's what you're saying right now.
If LeBron wants it.
And that's a good point. And then there's Monte Harrison from Arkansas. Are you familiar with this wide receiver, Carter?
I am not.
Yes!
No. Actually, he's the former baseball player, isn't he?
Yes. That is correct. He is a 29-year-old incoming freshman. He was drafted in 2014 by the Milwaukee Brewers and played in the big leagues in parts of the 2020, 21, and 22 season. He was part of the trade that got Christian Yelich to Milwaukee from the Miami Marlins. And now he's a freshman in college football.
Did you say Alan Bowman?
Bowman.
Somebody said he went
He's
to
from
Grapevine.
Lovejoy.
Yeah, he's
from
here.
I thought he was, okay.
Could LeBron James play football if he wanted to in college?
Like right now?
Yeah. Like if he is like, I'm retiring from basketball. I've never gone to college. I'm going to wherever.
I mean, for years, he always talked about how
Ohio
he'd be a
State.
tight end, and that's where he'd probably want to play is Ohio State. The only position that regularly has 30-year-olds in it in college football are like punters that come from Australia.
I could see that.
Other positions, I don't know.
Dude, can you imagine LeBron rolling in to Ohio State, though, and being like, hey, coach, I appreciate it and everything, but I got this.
But what kind of NIL money would he demand to play at Ohio State?
He might make more than he could make in the NBA.
Dude, if I was Ohio State, I would want to make that happen.
He would make more
Absolutely.
there than he would in the NBA because there's no cap on his money.
Are you guys familiar with the word parody? Have you heard it before? Parity.
Parity?
Parity.
Maybe?
What?
Why are you asking?
I feel like parody is like when you're making fun of something.
Did you know that this would not take us 1 second to answer this?
I'm going to say
very
yes.
disappointed that it didn't. Look who I'm talking to. I got you. Let's go to cut number 7. This is Robert Turbin, who I'm not sure he knows what this word means.
Rich, I don't know if I've ever been more fired up for a college football season. All the changes, all the newness in college football, it feels like there's no parity. Anybody can win it this season.
Now, that is a confusing statement. There is no parity, which means anybody can win it.
Or is there?
Ooh.
Now, he had everything going right up until the very end. He's like, I'm with him. Like, I feel like it's very wide open, but then, yes, misuse of the word.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Now, normally when we're like,
Did he correct himself at some point?
Kind of like a parrot, but not really.
Oh, my God. He's sort of like Jimmy Buffett, but not all the way. God, this is what you've done to me. All right. Normally, we don't get to do these like, oh, is he related to so-and-so? And you're like, no. But Maryland tight end, excuse me, let's try this again. SMU tight end, RJ Maryland, there we go, was part of the comeback because, Carter, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sure looked like SMU's season was about to get off to a catastrophic start.
I thought they were toast in the middle of the third quarter. I mean, you come in with all the hype. They're a 30-point favorite against a team that's 4-20 over the last 2 seasons, and they just look like dog water for most of that game. Preston Stone was hurt at the end of last year. There was some people were wondering if that maybe played into why he wasn't playing at times in the first half of this game. They played their backup quarterback, and apparently that was the plan all along, was to get both of them drives early in the game, but neither of them were particularly effective, and Nevada they looked like a team just reinvigorated. So I really thought they were toast, but any time in that second half that Preston Stone needed an outlet, RJ Maryland was there. I mean, he was a superstar for the last quarter and a half of that game.
RJ Maryland is the son of
Russell Maryland.
Russell Maryland,
who is the
former Dallas Cowboy.
Cousin of my 4th grade teacher, Miss Weatherall.
Is that right?
He came to our school. He came to Truett Elementary School, and Miss Weatherall was like, "This is my cousin Russell," and he was so nice. He was so cool to talk to.
And the Cowboys traded for the number 1 overall pick to get Rocket Ishmael, and then he went to the Canadian Football League, and then they took Russell Maryland.
That is true. I remember
won a couple Super Bowls after that.
And I remember when the draft started, I didn't totally understand all of that, and I was like, just pick Rocket Ishmael either way. And they're like, no, we're going to go with Russell Maryland. All right, I don't know if you guys saw this. I am amazed that the CBS Sports Network called this correctly during the Nevada SMU game. They went to the camera in the wrong end zone for a field goal. So it was a 52-yard kick, and I get it. You're up almost in the middle of the field. Maybe you might get a little confused, but they took the view from the opposing goalposts, and then they even backed the camera out
like
as
a
if
panic back out.
Yeah, as if that could be a panic backup, but it almost also felt like they're like, here comes the football. Oh no. I was impressed that the CBS Sports Network crew still got the call correct, because they're like, the hell's our camera person?
They were watching what was happening on the field.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could barely tell watching on TV because I saw that live, and I have always held to the belief that the CBS Sports Network's quality of their broadcast is just not that of what you would get on ESPN, because if you're talking 50-yard field goals, you saw 2 of those in the first half for Florida State in their game in Dublin against Georgia Tech. But yeah, as that was going on, I'm like, well, I guess they're going to tell me if he made it or not, and he did.
Kevin, I guess the big factor here is even CBS is still in the preseason. So
yes, I could
it was
definitely.
week 0. It was a warm-up week.
Yeah, that's a warm-up
but
week,
now we're
Kevin.
to week 1.
Everything better be on point now.
Okay, if you're Florida State, I mean, obviously with the 12-team playoff, you can absorb a loss, probably absorb 2 losses, but what does this say for their season going forward?
It says that their plan, they're a lot like Colorado does it the most popularly with the transfers. Florida State did the same thing last year, and it worked really, really well. Quarterback was a transfer, running back was a transfer, best 2 receivers were transfers. They were all over the roster. They go undefeated in the regular season. It was great. They try and do the same thing again this offseason. They bring in DJU as their quarterback, a bunch of other players all across the roster. I believe they got 17 transfers that are playing major minutes or going to for this team. And the first results are really not as impressive as they were last year. They ran pretty well in their first drive, scored pretty easily. After that, it was a struggle. They kept having DJU throw to the sidelines, which I don't know why. He would throw it 5 yards outside of the paint every time. And then at the end of the game, when they had him throw the ball over the middle, it worked really well. They ended up tying the game. But I think you both have to look at the quality of transfers that Florida State got are not going to be what they were last year, but also there were definitely some questionable coaching decisions with those players that I think they could do better going forward.
Which team, Corey, do you think gives the most vulnerability to Vegas? That if they were to win the national championship, Vegas is like, oh, crap.
UNT.
That'd be a pretty big one.
I'm so sorry, Corey.
I bet the odds are insane.
I would agree with that.
You bet $1,000. I bet you win $1 million.
Actually, I think that could be factually accurate.
All right.
Time to put it down.
Would you like to bet?
You're welcome. My day is
I will
done.
stake that bet if you would like to bet $1,000 on UNT to win the
I will
football
take your
national
money.
championship. It's actually number 1.
Doing the indecent proposal.
It is actually Ohio State number 1, but number 2, the most vulnerable team on the board,
Go Mean Green.
the Colorado Buffaloes.
Makes sense, man. They're a popular team to bet on.
They are. They are also over-under is to win 5.5 games this year.
Yeah.
Do we take the over or under, and would you make that bet on Colorado at 200-1 to win the national championship?
They opened the season with North Dakota State. That's not a layup.
It's not.
According to him.
Pretty good litmus test for Colorado this season. And then the very next week, they go to Nebraska, a team that everyone thinks is going to be a lot better this year. So,
and then you saw the Colorado State game last year. That was
nuts.
chaos.
It was so much fun. That kept everyone up until like 3 a.m. because it went to double overtime.
So much fun.
So I am buying over 5.5. If they beat, we were talking about this on Bet Nation, the show I do over the weekends. About
plug.
Except it's over. There's no more of them left. But go listen to the podcast.
It got canceled.
We switched the programming during the football season. We're not important enough. But the North Dakota State game, will show you a lot about Colorado. I think it's that second game against Nebraska that'll really tell me if this team's for real or not. They'll be on the road. They'll be going up against a defense that was kept Nebraska in a lot of games that they ended up losing last year because their offense was so bad. But if they can go on the road and beat a team in a hostile environment that has a very good defense, I'm totally buying in on the over on that 5.5.
By the way, this isn't directly related to college football, but Mike, people have brought this up multiple times now. When you said and stopped and then pivoted to Jake's mom, people are now concerned about the status of your marriage. So can you tell them you're good?
No, yeah, we're good. I was just saying, yeah, we're good.
There's been a shocking amount of comments about.
I think. I don't know.
I don't. When I get home today, we'll find out.
Every day's a new day.
Things can change.
Oh my goodness.
He is right about that.
Got to have a 1-0 mentality every day, you know?
I was just thinking about how Deion Sanders and his son have really disrespected the state of Colorado as they're doing Kentucky commercials.
Kentucky Fried Chicken commercials. Yeah, I've noticed that too. I was
Is there
like,
no Colorado fried chicken?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Really? Doesn't it feel like though that it would be better because it's from Colorado Fried Chicken? I don't know why. I just feel like something. If it's like the Colorado omelet, amazing. The Denver omelet's fantastic.
Do they need a Denver and a Colorado?
I don't know. I think I made that up. Kevin.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody here that doesn't know the difference.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, that would be me. All right. I know it's early, but what would we think about UConn going to the Big 12? And my follow-up question to that is, if you gave a quiz to people who like sports and college sports,
I have no clue.
How well would people be able to navigate what conference teams are in right now?
Right now, it would be pretty testy, I think, just given that I think 13 schools changed affiliation on the power level this last cycle. So as far as UConn goes, this goes into Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, wanting to spin off the basketball rights to their own thing, which I don't get. I think if you spin them off into their own thing, you're not going to get as much money as you want, and then the value of your overall conference deal, which comes up in, I believe, 2031, so it's a ways away, but that's going to be less too. The reason they're together is because they bring value to each other.
Yeah.
And plus, right now UConn's defending back-to-back national champions. I get that. They'll probably be pretty good so long as Hurley is there as their head coach in basketball. The football is totally whatever. They wouldn't even join until, I believe, 8 years from now. When Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF joined the Big 12, they were really good where they previously were. When they came in last year, they stunk. And even those couple years before they were coming in, they stunk too. So right now, it looks great to add UConn because they're great right now. But we saw in 2014, they won a national championship, totally fell off for another 6 years after that. So that's the thing I never get is yes, you look at this now and it looks really, really good, but it just seems like it could be something that's not going to add as much value later down the line as you would want.
I mean, based on everything he just said, it sounds like there's no parity and anybody could win this thing.
What is
Robert Turbin's gospel?
What is the game of the week for you? Game of the weekend for week 1?
It's definitely Notre Dame and Texas A&M. I think that's going to be the biggest. It's just as far as the two teams, it could be something going forward. Having both of them in the same game, I think that's going to be huge at night in College Station. That's going to be awesome.
Clemson, Georgia, do anything?
Not for me. I'm not buying Clemson.
Like Dabo.
Not even that. I just don't think the way that he goes about things now is conducive to modern success in college football.
Did you see he's no longer taking live calls on his radio show?
Because of Tyler from Spartanburg.
Yes, who went on this crazy rant and he referenced Proverbs while he was talking about why Dabo shouldn't get paid. And Dabo was like, you know what? You're what's wrong with sports.
You're a proverb.
Yeah, okay. Not exactly that. Do you think Texas A&M is going to win?
I don't. I think Notre Dame's going to win. Notre Dame's offensive line is their biggest question mark, but I do still like what Notre Dame has a little more than A&M.
This might be a question for another day.
Plus, your favorite quarterback's Joe Montana.
Irish would beat Aggies anytime.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? The mascot battle?
Yeah, our dog's really nice. Our dog's really nice.
Did you have Sarge come in?
Yes,
your spot?
Actually, maybe if I can change it up like
A&M
this.
would win in a game of fetch.
They might just poop on the field.
All right.
That dog doesn't.
You know what? I was going to ask you if you think
that dog doesn't poop.
I mean,
all dogs.
It kind of
good
feels
skill
like
to have.
that. Do you think that McNeese State's kicker was thrown off by Happy Gilmore images being in the background when he was trying to tie the game against Tarleton State.
I do think so. I think it is a factor. Bill Belichick used to do this.
Happy Gilmore?
No, in New England, he would ask for a shot of the goalposts to be on the board behind the goalposts.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But just slightly askew. So you couldn't really, if you kind of just were looking up, you would be like, where are the goal? You see two sets of goalposts up there.
Because I've seen like TCU throw up the Hypnotoad behind the field goals, or I've seen like that gopher, that meme like pop up behind, like stuff like that. But yeah, that's I wouldn't expect Happy Gilmore to be up there.
Bye-bye.
Always appreciate the insight, good sir.
Thank
there
you,
you
guys.
go. Carter Freeman right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, let's chat with those fellas from the G-Bag Nation and get the latest on the NFL cuts next right here on The Fan.
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No,
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Uber Eats has low fee products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen that before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean like your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean like this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, you're freaking me out a little bit.
This segment is brought to you by Classic Chevrolet in Grapevine. They're the #1 Chevy dealer in the world. More Silverados than anyone else. This is Texas. This is Classic Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Based on new Chevy registrations 2023.
KNC Masterpiece back here on 105 through the Fan right now, courtesy of D&M Leasing. It is time for our chit-chat with those fellas from the G-Bag Nation. Gentlemen, how is you today?
Amazing, Hagee. How can you be anything else when the trumpets play?
I love it, love it, love it. Now, I know we're going to dive into some cut stuff, but I wanted to ask y'all, is there any particular player or players that you think have upped their stock the most throughout training camp and the preseason games?
Julius Wood.
Yes,
Julius
that's a good
Wood.
one.
Julius Wood is going to make your 53-man roster.
And it feels like he deserves it at this point.
He's and what's going to happen is, and this is what we talked about yesterday in Krusty's Corner at 340 when we were breaking it down, that you're going to have to figure out something because of the running backs you're likely going to carry are not going to play special teams for you. So you're going to probably have to carry an extra safety or maybe an extra linebacker to make up for these guys, because you're going to dress 3 running backs likely that aren't going to play special teams. So you have to make up for that some way. So Julius Wood appears to be a guy that's going to make their 53-man roster, and hopefully he'll be able to do that.
Feels like that would make your special teams better, too. Like you actually have a defensive player that's going down to make a bunch of tackles or whatever. That seems much easier than having a running back, because you can block and personal protect. Now you got to go be a running back and tackle. That's not even your forte. So that makes a ton of sense. I think Jalen Tolbert that was a huge wonder of do you have anything in this guy? And I think to this point, he's giving every indication that he will be a legit number 3 wide receiver.
My concern about Tolbert is I feel like I kind of saw this last year, and I'm worried about getting burned off of what that actually means in terms of on-field production. But you're right, he has looked good in camp for sure.
I'll go with the first 2 picks. There's an element of the unknown, and you need those guys to be great, especially after the disaster of last year's draft class.
Yeah.
So getting good reports and demonstrations from Nealon and Guyton, I think on the edge, there's nothing bigger that could have happened for your football team than get a positive momentum there.
It's got to be super encouraging that goes down the line, right? When then you're like, and then BB and Leopold and Carson.
Yes.
You feel like early returns look really promising. Hopefully that carries over.
The only thing is you're having to really depend on every one of those guys,
which is not great, but
you're putting a lot on them. But they've all met or exceeded expectations to this point, so you're feeling great.
And we really shouldn't be surprised considering maybe the best GM in football, is in charge of this thing.
I've heard nobody else can do it.
Nobody can effing do it the way that he effing does it.
I wonder if Will McClay was happy about that statement.
No.
And I'll say it in this way.
Yeah.
I think Will McClay is closer to probably going off and doing something else than he is staying around here.
Oh.
And maybe it's not that. His son is getting older and they were hanging around because of that, and good for him being a dad that way. But now it makes you wonder a little bit with Jerry saying that you know what, hey, okay, I see where this thing is going. Even Will, he's done a great job for the Cowboys. He really has. I mean, he's made Jerry a better general manager. I know our group didn't make Jerry a better general manager, but Will has. And so now if you're Will McClay, the thought is, if I get an opportunity, am I going to turn it down like I have before? And I don't know if he'll do that anymore. That's something you need to kind of keep an eye on.
I know it's a totally different situation, but is that the same way we feel about Dak, where now maybe he's getting closer and closer to?
I think there's two guys that are kind of like in that mode of like, if we go on to somewhere else, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
Mike McCarthy being one of them. I think Mike McCarthy, I think Dak Prescott are to that point
where if it doesn't work out here, hey, I appreciate you allowing me to resuscitate. God, I can't talk today.
That was a huge word, though.
Resuscitate.
You put a lot of
his
pressure
career
on yourself with that word.
And then, he was able to, to come back and to coach and show that he can win games. I think that, with the way that they're hiring coaches nowadays with guys with little or no experience, at least if you want to go and hire an established guy, he would probably be. So I think he's okay. And I think Dak's at that mode too. That whatever happens, happens. I don't think he's married to this place anymore.
Anything from today thus far, whether it's Harvey, Hendershot, Ball, whoever, that has surprised you on the cut front?
Not really.
Yeah.
No. On my 53, I had Ball. That means that they liked, let's go better than Ball. So I think they're going to keep 9 offensive linemen. So I thought that Ball had a better camp than let's go, but they don't see it that way.
Do you think it's because they feel like they have a couple other guys? Because Ball was a better guard.
Ball could play guard and he could play tackle. I mean, he's just become a better guard.
Yeah.
If you look at it, Let's Go was a better player last year, but Let's Go played. I think things turned for Let's Go in the Raider game when he was having to go up against the Raiders starters. It wasn't pretty, but he held his own.
Okay.
And I think people kind of got encouraged by that.
I'm not saying this is a Cowboys only problem by any means, but when we get down to these cuts, do you look at the players that stay or look at the players that make the practice squad and you're like, you don't have to pick all your own guys. Like
I hate that. I hate when they bring back all their own guys. I always hated that. And if I had to do it, if I was running a team, I know that my guys that I'm cutting probably can't play. So now I'm thinking like, okay, let me look at the other team's rosters. Other guys, there's some guys you want to bring back, of course, but you have 16 opportunities. If I could get 6 guys from other teams to come and be part of my practice squad, I think I've gotten better that way. I know my 16 probably can't play, all of them. They'll probably be career, or at least for this year, there'll be guys that are on my practice squad and I don't do anything with them. Give me the opportunity to look at some different guys and kind of work my practice squad that way.
Since we were talking about running backs a little bit earlier, general thoughts about Dalvin Cook? I know it's workout, but how do we feel?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's 29 years old and was really bad last year.
Yeah, he's not as the only thing he has over Zeke right now is he's got a little bit more quickness. That's
okay.
That's it. When you look at both players, and I did this morning, I watched him play with the Jets and I watched him play with the Ravens. There's a clip where you show like a big run that he had, and he's kind of it is what it is blocking wise. He's not going to make anybody miss anymore. He's not going to be able to get to the edge anymore. He's not going to be able to turn the corner anymore. He doesn't break tackles like he once did. So yeah, this to me is we used to have a thing with Bill Parcells. It was called Tidewater. Mike, you'll appreciate this. Tidewater was the minor league team, so Bill always called our emergency board Tidewater. And I think this is a Tidewater move to potentially look at him. Maybe they put him on the practice squad, but he's not any better than Zeke other than being a little quicker.
You generally want to go younger at this particular position. And they're clearly not doing that.
No, they are not. But your 2018 Pro Bowl team is going to be badass.
Was Parcells a Mets fan?
Yeah, he was kind of like when he always told me, he goes, "Hey, how's our Tidewater team looking?" And I would go, "Tidewater." And he'd go, "Yeah, the Tidewater team, the emergency board." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I call it an emergency board, but yeah, I understand Tidewater. Great." So then, he would so that was the nickname we gave, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting about this particular player.
And he'd always say Tidewater with his leg propped up, naked, talking to Broadus.
Hey, dude, like the Captain Morgan pose.
Which leg?
No.
Either one. Maybe both.
What do you guys got coming up on the program today?
Pure Gold as always. Heggy, thanks so much for asking. The man with the best name in football, Mike Sando, is going to join us at 4 o'clock. He'll make you hungry and fill you up with football knowledge all in one. He has his quarterback tiers out, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Tearing them up, talking to execs and coaches and whatnot.
Roll home with the G-Bag Nation. Try to get the horrific imagery out of your mind. We've been K&C. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on 105.3 The Fan.
Say goodnight, Kevin.
Good night, Kevin.
Hiley Mazda of Arlington and Hearst Studios. You're rolling with the G-Bag Nation on 105.3 The Fan.
Here we go. It's hour number 1 of the G-Bag Nation on 105.3 The Fan. I hope you're having a fantastic day as we're off and running with the top sports stories of the day every afternoon here at 2 o'clock. G-Bag of the Day is coming up at 2:30. There's Brian Broaddus, the former Cowboy scout, NFL executive, looking more Longhorn every day in his pearl snap shirt and his Texas... Texas, is that a Texas Cowboys hat?
Yeah, this is the organization that my son's involved with.
Okay.
They fire the cannons, and they're kind of the face of the the school and stuff. Been around since 1922. Quite impressive. He and Arch Manning are brothers in this
Cowboys.
In the Texas Cowboys. So yeah, this is the guys that wear the hats, the chaps, and the white shirts and stuff like that. So really proud of him for that. He sent me a text yesterday with a picture of him.
Yeah.
Said, "Dad, I'm starting my 15th year of school." Like he had the backpack.
What is he, a junior now?
He's
Sophomore?
a junior. He's a junior in Texas, yeah.
Holy crap. You're number 15.
Yeah, he goes, 15th year of school. And I'm like, okay, here we go.
He's going to graduate on time, isn't he?
He is, and then he's going to.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
He got, unless he starts drinking massively, even more. But
about to say, dude,
he's already got into a master's program there at the McCombs Business School. They've already asked him to be in this master's program for his for the finance stuff that he does. So
how do you
I know
like
his mom can handle that end. I'm just got to get him the 4 years. That's
it, right?
Yeah, I'm done.
Then you're done.
Well, congratulations. He made a Longhorn out of you is what that kid did.
You know what? Until it turns into like the season of sports actually starts, because Texas now being in the SEC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought I'd wear the hat in honor of him today.
See, I see you skirting those rules just a little more every season.
No,
Next thing you know.
Hey, I'm proud of him, but Texas is in the SEC now. There's no love there.
Okay.
No, love for what my son does. No love for the Longhorns.
Not what your outfit says.
More and more burnt orange.
I've been wearing this. I've worn this shirt before. Worn this shirt before with an LSU lid.
I know. It just hits with the Longhorn hat a little different.
Week one.
Don't be so observant,
I'm just
Dawson.
saying, man.
Don't be so observant.
I've come to know that
you want to fight about this owner? Let's fight.
And
okay?
I see purple and yellow. I see purple and yellow. Now I see a beautiful white and burnt orange.
It is nice to see though that Broaddus took his Jerry cape off before coming in today.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was over having lunch with Jerry at the club today, and
I bet
he kind of said,
"Were you spoon feeding him?" Or?
Dawson's a son of a bitch. I've said, hey, he's really a good dude. It's okay, Jerry. Don't worry about Dawson. He's harmless. He doesn't really mean what he's saying. All those bad things about.
Hey, I'm just playing my part. I'm sure he enjoys.
He's playing his
fact.
part too, right?
Yeah, he's playing his part, and he knows it all. It's all part of the deal.
Yeah.
There's Lucius Alexander, the pimp cup over there at Master Control here, 75 and Fitzhugh. He's a UT man himself.
He is.
You got Eric Chiafalo in the house. Zach Wolchuk is he's on dad duty. He's having himself a brilliant time. Send him some love on social.
I heard the plane flight you said was good for him.
Yeah.
I was trying to talk him out of that.
Oh, I know. He was stressing about that, but he said it went well. So I would imagine. And then I haven't heard from him. So he's probably having a great time.
Most babies lock in after takeoff. It's rare that you
baby's
get one
4 months, right? 4 or 5 months,
something like that. Yeah.
What a gamble. What a gamble.
This was just to Florida, though, right? What is that, an hour and a half? Something like that?
Maybe,
I would say
maybe a couple.
2 hours.
Yeah, maybe a couple.
Carter Freeman is coordinating your video. You could watch us at 105thefan.com, Twitch, and YouTube. Last flight I took, it left a mark on me, and now whenever I think about somebody flying, it's just like I don't know. I might need to go to therapy for this one. It's still with me a week and a half later.
Is that Frontier bit?
No, this was a Spirit flight, Chief. You didn't get this story when I flew into Vegas that Friday when I was off.
Oh, you would Spirit.
It was
What are you doing to yourself?
Well,
you're punishing yourself.
I was trying to save $58.
Spirit is all good for short flights.
Yeah.
You get massively drunk and you take your little short flight and get it over with.
Yeah.
What's a short flight, Lucius? Under 90 minutes?
Maybe, yeah.
As long as
hour and 30 minutes the most, bro.
Right. That's max.
Yeah.
I just feel like with Spirit, it's such a gamble.
Well, they do have the highest safety record. And I found out after this traumatic experience why they leave nothing to chance. So we're coming into Vegas. It's super windy, and the wings are going like back and forth.
Touching the ground there.
We're about to have a wing strike, and dude gasses it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And then, so we go back up, and then we're circling. We try again. This time he didn't even get that close. He's gassing it, and I'm like, crap, I don't know. We got to go to Los Angeles. Just get me off this plane.
Yeah. And since you're on Spirit, you're sitting on somebody else's lap, and it makes it even more uncomfortable.
Yeah, a damn lawn chair.
Here's the thing I found about Spirit and Frontier. You don't want to have obviously luggage or even a roller bag, just a personal item, which can be a backpack,
fanny pack. Really.
So if you're going for like,
that's perfect for you that doesn't carry luggage.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a week and not carry luggage.
So now we're super actual budget. I can use that money to pay the extra $40 or $50 to be in the front seat. Okay, so now when that thing gets up, I just get up and walk off the jet. I don't have to worry about somebody leaning back into me.
They will get you on those baggage, though. That Spirit, they will build in some charges.
Next thing you know, you're
you want to go to the
$600.
men's room? $750.
Oh, yeah, they'd have the whole family out there with the suitcases wide open, switching stuff around.
Yeah.
Holding up the line.
Oh,
yeah,
for
bro.
sure.
I done did that before.
Yeah, they came around asking for refreshments, and I was like, I'll just take a water. They say that'll be $7. I was like, oh, my bad. Yeah,
never mind. I'll raw dog this thing.
I'm good. We are going to talk with Cody Bradford today, coming up at 3:20 for the Rangers Player Show, straight out of Aledo, Texas, and Baylor. And it started the year on fire. When we were still excited about this Rangers season. He was 3-0 with a 1-4. Then he got hurt, but now he's back, still dealing pretty good. So we'll talk with Cody Bradford coming up at 3:20. Mike Sando at 4 o'clock. Is he with the Athletic now?
Yes.
Okay. And he has quarterback tiers today, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk sandwiches with him too.
Absolutely. Rangers back at it tonight at 6:30, but the pregame they'll visit the White Sox, and Sandler is going to join us at 6 o'clock. We're going to have Cowboys linebacker Eric Kendricks for our Cowboys Player Show.
How about that, man?
That's
Nice.
Thursdays at 4:20.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
And yes, he was on with KMC Masterpiece during training camp. If you didn't, hear that, just take our word for it, or you could go find it on YouTube or something. But he's got great energy, and he's interested in a lot of different stuff. So I think it's a perfect candidate here for a weekly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when he agreed to the deal with the Cowboys in the offseason, he joined like Bussin' with the Boys. He was on Pat McAfee. Like, he's a guy that's got some personality, certainly has some stories, and I'm looking forward to it. That's great news.
So we're about 51 minutes now from the cuts being due, Brian.
Yeah, I'm laughing because we were talking about Wood being on the team. I just got a text.
He's not.
Something shifted. Sounds like Wood's getting released now.
Oh, no.
So, I don't know. Kind of thought he was going to be the guy. We'll see.
Something
Things are in
shifted.
the
air. Something shifted.
Yeah, you hear that? Leave it alone, bro.
Something shifted.
Too early.
Does that mean Dalvin Cook is signing?
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but he was going to be. I had him on my 53, and I was talking with some guys on the way in, like, hey, this guy's got a good shot. It looks like he's going to make it. And now I'm getting the something's shifted. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. So he might not, but we'll see. Like you said, here in 50 minutes, we'll know exactly. The Cowboys will release all their cuts at 3:40. Krusty's Corner, I'll go through all of them, see where we're at.
Sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me.
It is when you're dealing with this stuff. This
Yeah.
Wood kid can play a little bit. I was thinking about the reason I put him on the roster was because of those running backs, and I don't know who's going to play special teams on that group.
We're gonna have to hashtag it and get it going viral. Hashtag don't touch our Wood, just to other teams in the
of course,
NFL.
yeah.
Like,
Go ahead. You could spearhead that.
Don't
Go
you
ahead.
dare take him away from our practice squad.
Yeah. Don't take our Wood away.
So we've been hearing from you that Carl Lawson's better against the run than the pass. That maybe should have been a warning sign. And then
how about that?
Todd Archer reporting he's not even going to make the team.
Yeah, Todd Archer's reporting that they're probably going to release him. He's a vested veteran, so he would be immediately free. Maybe that's bring him onto the practice squad kind of thing. So we'll see. There's going to be a lot of this roster gymnastics coming up here in the next 50 minutes or so. But the roster as it is will probably not be the roster that we'll have in 3 days. There'll be claims. There'll be guys that are lost. They'll put guys on injured reserve. I believe Thomas, the rookie from Louisiana Lafayette, the guard, he might be on, and then they put him on injured reserve. When are they going to sign? When are they going to sign Linville Joseph? That's another one. You know, they if he were to wait a couple of days, that keeps a roster spot for him right there. Then when you sign him, then maybe you put Thomas to the injured reserve. You know, so there's a lot of things that are going to be happening here in the next 48 hours or so.
So you watched Dalvin Cook?
I did.
What'd you think?
I don't think he's very similar to what you have with Ezekiel Elliott. He's just a little bit quicker, and you know he could catch the ball. The things that Zeke does better, Zeke's a better blocker. Zeke, I think, is a better receiver. I think that Dalvin Cook, the thing that Dalvin Cook lacks now is he no longer has that burst, that long burst that he used to have. When you watch him turn the corner, he can't get the corner like he once did. He was able to kind of get on the outside and turn it and then make things happen. But he's kind of a guy, and probably a lot like Zeke. However well the play's blocked, that's how many yards he's going to get, because he's not going to make anybody miss. He's not going to run through weak arm tackles. I looked at Anabanakanda from the Jets. I looked at him because Pro Football Focus had him as the number one guy. And there's some positive things about him as a runner. Could be, is he an upgrade over what you're playing with? In some regards, I think he is. I'm always trying to compare players to Rico Dowdle. The problem with Rico Dowdle is how healthy can you stay? If you told me he was going to play for 17 games, I think you would be fine here. But there's really no guarantee of that. He never has done it. Even as a part-time player, he hasn't stayed healthy. So that's something that has to concern you. But this Dalvin Cook thing, I feel like you've got a similar guy to what you're playing with already.
All righty, very interesting. I mean, that would look good on paper. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook. I can't rule it out.
You're just you're literally a half decade too late.
Yeah, it's a good name. It's like Carl Lawson was a good name, and Linville Joseph might be a good name, and these were all good names 3-4 years ago, for sure.
Okay, the Titans are releasing former first-round pick Caleb Farley, the corner. I remember talking a lot about him. He's appeared in just 12 games, though, been a massive disappointment.
Well, he's got back problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Chiefs released the wide receiver Kadarius Toney. This could be it for him, couldn't he?
He's just a headache.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else is going to want to take on that baggage for the production. What do you guys think?
I'm seeing from Tom Pelissero here, the Cowboys are trading Peyton Hendershot, the tight end, to the Chiefs for I guess just a late round conditional pick.
Okay.
So they were planning to cut him anyway.
Yeah.
And I guess the Chiefs were like, we'll just go ahead and make sure we get him.
Yeah, the Chiefs are picking in the 32 hole on the claimings. And so, but Hendershot's a vested veteran, if I'm not mistaken.
In year 3?
Yeah, so maybe he's not. I kind of thought he was a vested veteran. So good for them for making that happen, I guess, since they were trading him. Because if he was a vested veteran, they would just wave him straight through.
It's got to be exciting for him. You got to hang on to the football. Yeah. I know that was frustrating, but his rookie year, he looked to be a playmaker.
Yeah.
And,
it's supposed to be Fergushot. We were supposed to be in the era of Fergushot running 12 personnel and two guys running up the seam and doing awesome touchdown dances choreographed. We had a moment.
This is where I think now that the guy like a Span Ford, they're likely going to keep 4 tight ends now. I thought they would only keep 3, but maybe they're going to keep Span Ford as they gave him a lot of guaranteed money. He's a rookie. Maybe they don't want to put him out. They knowing that maybe if they put him out that he might get claimed, because there were several teams that they had to make a big offer to get him, to pay him quite a bit of signing bonus. So they're worried that if we put him out there, we're not going to get him back. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now with these tight ends.
Well, we are off and running here in the G-Bag Nation. 4.5-hour show. Rangers pregame at 6:30. Cooler weather in town. Cloud cover here from times throughout the day. You're looking at upper 80s and lower 90s for Labor Day weekend with some possible thunderstorms, actually. Lower chances of rain pretty much every day in the afternoon this week, though. So be on the lookout for that. New favorite snack actually doesn't involve sugar, gentlemen. Couldn't believe it. Spicy pork rinds.
Wow.
Yeah. The spicy pork
hell yeah, absolutely, 100%. Is there a certain brand that you're rocking with?
I mean, I'm in the exploratory stages right now. I'm open to suggestions. But I just grabbed a bag from Walmart on my way out last night. It was about the second or third time I've had some in the last couple of weeks, and I just crushed the whole thing. I was like, by golly, this is my new jam right here.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
The hot and spicy, yeah.
Rangers 105 through the Fan.
Fellowship at its finest. You're rolling with the G-Bag Nation on 105.3 The Fan and our Odyssey app, presented by Comerica.
It's one thing falling in love with a house, and quite
It's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries.
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Window Nation. Go to windownation.com/Cowboys. It's brought to you by the Frankels. Life's unpredictable. Accidents happen. If you're hurt in an accident, it's not your fault.